All right, good evening. Public Act 100-0640 amends the Open Meetings Act to expressly authorize public bodies to meet remotely in certain circumstances without the otherwise required quorum present at the meeting place. This law requires that the head of a public body determine that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent because of the disaster. So Andrew, as the meeting chair, I'll ask you to make that determination once the meeting has come to order. At least one member of the public body or the chief administrative officer or the chief legal officer must be physically present at the meeting place unless it isn't feasible because of the disaster. So I am here at the library this evening. We should do a roll call after the meeting is called to order, and all votes will be by roll call. As with all open meetings, we provide space for public comments in accordance with the law. For the purposes of this virtual meeting, we've asked for the public to submit their comments via email or voice message, and I will read them aloud at the appropriate time. The meeting will be recorded and will be available on the library's website for 30 days and will be archived in our administrative offices thereafter. All yours, Andrew.
All right, thank you and good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Aurora Public Library District Board of Directors to order at 6:02 p.m. on April 28th, 2021. The Aurora Public Library District Board of Directors finds an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent at this time because of the ongoing public health emergency and believes that it is in the library's best interest to hold a virtual meeting to perform our essential business. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Present.
Jeff Butler,
Here.
Joe Philippek,
Here.
Melinda Riddick, present, John Savage.
Here.
Eva Serrano,
Here.
Andrew Smith.
Here, we have a quorum. All right, at this time, are there any changes to the agenda?
I have not heard of any changes.
Perfect. All right, moving on to the approval of the March 24th, 2021 meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? No changes. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 24th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Directors?
Dee Basili making that motion.
It's Joe, I'll second.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
yes,
Andrew Smith.
Yes, motion carries. Next, Michaela, is the Executive Director's report. What do you have for us?
All right, I wanted to give you an update on our EDI work. So I have met with the team and the consultant twice in Miriam's absence to review results from RGW's policy review and the cultural agility assessment that they gave to managers. It was a quiz, 100 questions or so that they gave to managers to test to see where we are in our awareness of issues surrounding equity, diversity, and inclusion. So as far as the policy review went, the consultants had generally positive feedback about the policies, most of the policies that we asked them to review. Especially they liked that they were pretty up to date. And so I have you all to thank for that. Thank you. They had some what they call curiosities and questions about some questions about how the policies are developed and who has input and things like that. One thing they asked about for all of the policies, and mostly it was the public facing policies like the collection development policy, the behavior policy, the computer and internet use policy, things like that, the circulation policy, of course. They asked how we involve the community in policy development. And like most libraries, we really don't. So we are going to develop some ways to get community input as we look to revise our policies over the next few months. Most of our policies, we didn't review or really do much of anything with any of our policies during COVID. It didn't really make sense while things were changing so rapidly. So we'll get back on our regular review schedule. Joe and Melinda, I know you're looking forward to that. But we're going to be looking at all of those policies with that equity lens and finding a way to get more community input on those things. In other news, I know I promised you all a recommendation for consortium participation at this meeting, and I'm sorry, we are not quite ready. We are very close. So most of you can look for that as community members over the next few months.
Michaela, can we go back to the EDI?
Yep.
Was there any feedback on the quiz that the staff took?
Yes, so it was managers that took the quiz, and they had some, curiosities. They try to frame it in a pretty non-inflammatory way, so they don't have problems or questions or issues. They have curiosities, and some of the things they were curious about had to do with people's awareness of different terminology. About half of the managers responded incorrectly when asked to define what equity means and what equality means, sort of had it, wrong. And so, most of these things, all of these things, the consultant views as an opportunity for training. It's a way to help us understand where we are now. And so what training and what learning we need to do so that we can get to the next step. They didn't point out anything that was alarming, and one thing they asked, whether we recognize that improvements need to be made, basically, and the overwhelming, everyone 100% said, yes, everybody understands we need to do better. So that's good. And I guess that's not always the case in every organization. So.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for that catch.
I have a comment.
Sure. Yep.
I hope we're also able to let them know that when issues have arisen, we have seen strong community involvement.
Right.
And, certain not aspects, but when services are changed, or when something changes, at least the few years that I've been involved, I have seen certain pockets of the community engage. And so it might, just for them to know, and I don't know if they would compare that to, for instance, taking the bookmobile offline. Did we hear back from anyone in the community who was like, wait, hey, what's going on with the bookmobile? Why is that happening? When are we going to see it again? So it is, I hope they know that there are pockets of the community that have been very involved.
Right. I think they were specifically talking about the policy development part. When we go to revise our policies, we don't go out to the community and say, hey, what do you think about this change? We consider you our voice in the community, and they suggest that we broaden that out. And I think that's fine. We have talked to them a little bit about what's been happening over the past couple of years at the library, and that background. So they do have that. And I think one of the things that we'll address next is the collection and services and programs provided. And so we'll talk to them a little more at that time about that community involvement. So thank you for that. We'll make sure to do that. Anything else about that, you guys?
With the policy reviews, Michaela, are they mainly focused on the content, or are they looking at things like, the language that's used in policies? I mean, gender inclusive language as an example. Is that part of their kind of audit?
They look at policy development, and they look at consequences. They look at who the policy affects, and especially like unintended consequences. So when we ban sleeping in the library, who does that affect? When we charge for out-of-district library cards, who does that affect? Does it affect one group disproportionately? So we actually had a long conversation about that, about charging for out-of-district cards, and how that is, that's legally required. We have to do that. And we do what we can to make that affordable for families. They were pleased to hear about the foundation's scholarship cards. and the efforts that we make to make it affordable and the quarterly payments and things like that. So they're looking at all those things, the development impacts, and proportionate impacts as well.
Okay.
Well, and I know this is my, my last meeting, but how are the policies determined? Is that kind of, prescribed to us as a library? Do we?
Right. So some policies were sort of recommended / required to have. When we read Serving Our Public, they say every library in Illinois should have a reference policy. You should have a computer use policy, so some are like that.
Yeah.
And most of the policies that we have are those sort of required policies. And then we also have some that address our particular situation. The special events policy is one, and we have a tutor policy and things like that. There are, and some libraries have huge numbers of policies, binders full, and we try to keep it streamlined because, it's not really all about the rules, and that's
Right.
not how we think about it, but that's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, you guys? All right, so on the consortium front, I promised you an update and I do not have one. We are very close to making a decision. We will have to bring that recommendation to our new board. And so I apologize. Things, it's a big decision, and some of the information gathering took us a little bit longer than we had hoped. And, we don't want to rush through this. So we'll have something pretty soon. We hope by June for the new board. You all know, I know that we have postponed step 2 of our reopening plan for a couple of weeks. Finally, the numbers in our region in Kane and DuPage are going in the right direction, down in terms of positivity rate and hospitalizations. So I'm still hopeful that we'll be able to hit that June 1 target for a restoration of full hours and services. I was on a meeting today with the county health department, and there is still a lot of concern about the amount of virus that's in the community and how it is making younger people sicker. So we're going to have to, we're just sort of taking it day by day, and we're going to do, just like always, we're going to provide as much service as we can safely. We don't want to make things worse in the community. So that's the update I have for you right now. You all are still legally and technically on the board until the new board is seated in May. So you'll probably be hearing more from me about these reopening plans over the next couple of weeks. It's your last meeting, but it's not your last day on the job. And that's what I have for you this evening.
All right, thank you, Michaela. Do we have any public comments?
We do.
Okay.
We have one comment, and I'll read it aloud now. Hi, folks. Yes, it's me again, the little Dutch boy from West Branch. I acknowledge that some of you may view me as the adversary from time to time, while I prefer to use the terms loyal opposition, contrarian, or devil's advocate when such point-counterpoint situations dictate. To those departed, given that this is the last official board meeting for many of you, I would be remiss if I did not publicly acknowledge the decades of time and effort you have donated to our library, particularly during the decision-making concerning the future of West Branch, and more recently, the myriad of issues relating to converting to a district. I am well aware of the additional time, research, and complex decisions that fell upon each of you. Please accept my sincere thank you and appreciation for all you've contributed to APL. Perhaps we'll meet as fellow patrons in the stacks. Finally, to Melinda and Joe, thank you for agreeing to run for the newly elected district board. I have every confidence you both will bring forward the institutional knowledge to the new board, and I look forward to your mentorship of the newly elected members. Let me close with a traditional farewell blessing. May your troubles be less. May your blessings be more. May nothing but happiness come through your door. For as we say in the Navy, fair winds and following seas. Sincerely, Ken Van Andel, card holder since 1970. And that is all.
All right. Thank you, Ken, for those words. All right, moving on to new business. All right, we have approval of the March, April bills. Do we have any questions on the bills, Michaela?
We do.
Jeff, you never let us down.
Gotta keep working the whole time.
All right. We have a question about the transfer of funds from the technology fund. The question is, has the transfer of funds happened yet from the technology funds? I think we voted on it in February and I expected to see the transfer happen now in April. And no, that transfer has not occurred. We have been in touch with the city. We have had multiple communications with them. We will continue to work the process. Thank you for asking the question. I know that they've had a lot of personnel turnover, but it has been 2 months and it is past time. So
It's something we just don't want to get lost.
that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much. We had a question also about unique management services curbside communicator product. And I'm going to let Heather answer that.
So Curbside Communicator is a cloud-based texting service that we use for curbside delivery. When customers pull in, they can text us on their phone and let us know they're there. I talked to Kim, who gave me detail on this. The monthly fee is $130. And there was a problem with getting the invoice to us. It was going to the wrong address or something. So between that and a small credit, because they had some service issues last year for a little bit, that's the $747.50. That's several months at once. And then the $260 is just for March and April of this year.
So it's $130 per location or
Total per month.
total? Okay, okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
We had one more question, and I'm going to let Brenda handle this one. This is about a deductible for auto collision.
So we had an employee who was using his own car for library business, and in the course of that that event, his car was damaged in the parking lot because a cart that he was using got loose and hit his car. It was an accident, and our contract requires us to, or we've agreed in our contract to pay up to $500 of the employee's deductible if their car is damaged. So that's what this is for.
Thank you. Yeah, no injury, it was just a,
No injury to him, no injury to the equipment that was on the cart, just his car.
okay, okay, good. Thank you.
And that's all we have for questions, unless there are any more.
All right, with no questions pending, may I have a motion and a second to approve the monthly bills in the amount of $865,272.36.
So moved. This is Jeff.
Second.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes. John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes,
Andrew Smith.
Thank you. Motion passes. Bills are approved. Next, Michaela, to talk about Resolution 2021-1.
All right, so last month you all approved the library's participation in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. And today we are asking you to appoint Brenda Blau as our authorized IMRF agent. This is just part of the process of onboarding us as a new agency into IMRF. They are walking us through the process and giving us the documents one little piece at a time. So there will be more of this, more things to do in the months to come, but this is what we're asking you to do tonight.
All right. May I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2021-1, appointing Brenda Blau as the Aurora Public Library District Authorized Agent for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund?
This is Dee Basili. I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Melinda Riddick, second.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes. John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes,
Andrew Smith.
Yes, motion carries, and thank you, Brenda, for your willingness to take on that role. All right, Michaela, to introduce several resolutions.
All right, thank you very much. Before we get into individual resolutions at our last meeting together, I'd like to take a moment to thank you all as a group on behalf of the community, the library staff, and of course, myself. You are the last board of directors of the Aurora Public Library and the first board of library trustees of the Aurora Public Library District. You've done great things. Your vision, your commitment, and your hard work built our incredible Santori Library. Your advocacy and dedication made our transition to district status possible and gave us a levy increase that will allow us to serve this community well for a generation. This year alone, you steered the ship through a global pandemic, through national tumult with grace and compassion and courage. You've done extraordinary work in an unprecedented time, and I thank you for that. While you're still on duty until the new board is sworn in May, I'll say now that I hope you will all keep in touch and continue to be library customers in the coming years. You have set us up for a new golden age, and you should enjoy the benefits with the rest of the community. So I have resolutions for each of you to honor and thank you for each of the departing members, and I will read them into the record with your permission. Our makerspace also made plaques for each of you, and we'll deliver to your homes at your convenience. Since we couldn't be together tonight, I'll be in touch tomorrow to arrange a time to do that. So I really hate to make anyone feel left out, Joe and Melinda. So thank you both so much for being willing to continue on and to give your expertise to the new board and your service to the community. And if I'm still here when your term is up, you can expect a very similar treatment from me. All right, so Andrew, I'll read each one and then we'll approve if that's all right.
So read it, then approve it, read it, and approve it.
Yeah, because I need a break.
Yeah, I no worries. That's great.
All right, now, you know, I am a librarian, so we're going in alphabetical order. Also, this is the only way to do it fairly. So,
Because I would be first.
okay, Andrew. All right, so resolution adopted by the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District honoring Delia Nila Basile, April 28th, 2021. Whereas Delia Nila Basile has served with distinction and dedication on the library board for 3 demanding years. And whereas she has simultaneously served on the foundation board. And whereas her joyful and enthusiastic support of the library's many major initiatives during this time has made their success seem inevitable. And whereas her creativity and vitality have enlivened many otherwise routine policy and budget discussions. And whereas Dee's joy and her standing in the community have rejuvenated the library's image. And whereas her genuine belief in the work and purpose of the library is a lasting gift to the people of Aurora. Therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Library Trustees expresses its sincere appreciation to Dee for her joyful devotion to the library and to the people of Aurora. Passed on this day of April 28th, 2021, by the unanimous vote of the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District.
May I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution honoring Delia Nila Basile?
so moved.
Second.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Is that right? Dee Basili? Vote on this.
Do I abstain?
Animus,
Get two votes.
yes.
Okay, Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Linda Riddick, yes. John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes,
Andrew Smith.
Gladly, yes. Motion carries. And Dee, thank you so much just over the last 3 years. And I know you do a lot for the foundation, but specifically for the board. Your personality is effusive. Your joy, your sprightly attitude, I love it. And no matter whether you're in Florida or you're here or wherever you are, you're always ready. You're always engaged. And I appreciate your questions. So thank you so much. Keep that smile rocking. And I look forward to seeing you at some upcoming library events when we're allowed to be back in person. So thank you so much for your years of service.
And it's been my privilege, and I've learned so much from each and every one of you. So I thank you for this.
Yep, we can go. All right, Jeff, you're up next.
All right. Resolution adopted by the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District honoring Jeffrey Butler, April 28th, 2021. Whereas Jeffrey Butler has served with distinction and dedication on the library board for 27 years. And whereas he has served as both secretary and president of the board, and whereas he has served on every standing committee and many ad hoc committees of the board, and whereas he has participated in the development of multiple strategic plans, the hiring of several executive directors, and the planning and construction of 2 library buildings and a bookmobile. And whereas he has generously exercised both his constituted authority and his soft power to the great benefit of the library and the community. And whereas he is a trusted colleague and mentor to the rest of the board, and whereas his meticulous oversight of the library's expenditures and revenues is legend, and whereas his genuine passion for the work and purpose of the library is a lasting gift to the people of Aurora. Therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Trustees expresses its sincere appreciation to Jeff for his commitment to the library, his love for Aurora, and his clear and resounding faith in the value of a strong and responsible library to the community. Passed on this day of April 28, 2021, by the unanimous vote of the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District.
May I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution honoring Jeffrey Butler?
Dee
Motion.
Basilli making that motion.
Melinda
Second.
Riddick, second.
We can fight for it. I like that. As Dee, she motioned, and Melinda, you second. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basilli,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
I guess so, yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes. John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Capital Y-E-S. Yes.
Angie Smith.
Yes, motion carries. Jeff, I find it comforting knowing that you're at the meetings at times when I felt inexperienced, not only as a new board member, but as president. I appreciated your wisdom and experience in a lot of situations, and your technical know-how when it comes to the bookmobile, and your passion for, the different parts of it and where we can cut here and where we can be green there. And I know we joke about the questions, but I appreciate that you read those sheets of paper, because we've all read them, and it's a lot to go through, and you're very insightful as to what you do. And I appreciate that very much. And, when we've had to deal with different situations, you've been there, and you have a cool attitude about it. You're very steady and consistent with your opinions, and I appreciate that. And I can always rely on you. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's been my pleasure to serve on the board, and I really have enjoyed working with the board, with the staff of the library, with the executive staff, and helping, and with all the patrons of the city of Aurora. So I think we're in a great place, and I really look forward to the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, next is John Savage.
All right. A resolution adopted by the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District honoring John Savage, April 28th, 2021. Whereas John Savage has served with distinction and dedication on the library board for 11 eventful years. And whereas he has served as president of the board for 6 of those years. And whereas his vision, focus, hard work, and personal generosity were all instrumental to the design and construction of the Santori Library, a once-in-a-generation investment in the community. And whereas he has given freely of his time, talent, and considerable political acumen to lead this library through a historic transition from municipal library to a fully independent library district. And whereas that leadership has allowed the library district to begin its new life on a sound financial footing. And whereas his genuine passion for the work and purpose of the library is a lasting gift to the people of Aurora. Therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Library Trustees expresses its sincere appreciation to John for his visionary leadership, his passion for Aurora, his clear and resounding faith in the value of a strong and responsive library to the community. Passed on this day of April 28th, 2021, by the unanimous vote of the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District.
May I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution honoring John Savage?
So moved. This is Jeff.
I'll second that. This is Dee Basili.
Thank you.
I'll third that.
Thank you. May I have a, Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Vasily,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Absolutely, yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, absolutely yes too. John Savage,
Absolutely, yes.
Eva Serrano,
Absolutamente sí. Absolutely, yes.
Andrew Smith,
Absolutely, yes. With that, motion carries. John, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but John and I go way back. His son was my best friend through several years of grade school and high school. And I count him as a friend as well. He was my friend's father, and now he's a personal friend of mine. And we've been through a lot. We've gone through a lot of different seasons in our own lives, and grandkids and my kids, and having those discussions and stories and dealing with things at the library when it's been difficult. And I know you've always had my back, and I've always had yours, and I've appreciated the wisdom you've shared, because difficult decisions sometimes have to be made, and you made them, and you've given me the courage to make them as well. So thank you, John, not only as a fellow board member, but as a friend.
Hey, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody. It's been an honor. I'm so proud of what we've together have built for this community with the library. No regrets. We made tough decisions, but we've really done something that we all can be really proud of, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. And thank you all for being a part of that journey too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next, Eva Serrano.
A resolution adopted by the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District honoring Eva Serrano, April 28th, 2021. Whereas Eva Serrano has served with distinction and dedication on the library board for 4 challenging years. Whereas both the community and the library are better for her strong voice and big heart for women and for Aurora's communities of color. And whereas Eva's thoughtful consideration of diverse perspectives has broadened the library's services, programs, and collections. And whereas her deep connections in the community give her a perspective that is greatly appreciated by staff and board alike. And whereas Eva's commitment to the library staff and her unfailing kindness to us has been a joy and a comfort, especially this year. And whereas Eva's commitment to the library staff her genuine passion for the work and purpose of the library is a lasting gift to the people of Aurora. Therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Library Trustees expresses its sincere appreciation to Eva Serrano for her belief in the library's value as an educational institution, for her passion for Aurora, and for her fierce advocacy for those who need the library most. Passed on this day of April 28th, 2021, by the unanimous vote of the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District.
May I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution honoring Eva Serrano?
Dee Basili making that motion.
Melinda Riddick, second.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes, yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes. John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes. I think.
Andrew Smith.
Yes, absolutely. Motion carries. And just like that, I love your injection of humor, because libraries can be fun places too. We know that, don't we? Absolutely. And education is fun. And I do appreciate your sensitive heart and spirit towards the community of Aurora and looking at all 4, 5, 6, 10 corners of it. And looking beyond its walls and saying, how can we best serve even the minority communities in Aurora? And you have such a heart for that. And it comes through so obvious. Even today, it comes through every single month. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you being the voice and being vocal about that and pushing back on situations and saying, how can we look at it through this lens? Because this is important to me and to my community. And I thank you for that so very much. And I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you, Melinda. Can I say a couple of things real quick?
Absolutely.
So, and my mind, goes in circles here because I'm so moved. First of all, just the power of literacy is something that I think I take for granted. And so all of you and working with all of you, learning from all of you reminds me of what a beautiful gift we have when it comes to literacy, reading, books, materials. And so you've reminded me of how important that is and what a gift it is for all people. And so promoting that and encouraging that means a lot to me. The board members that I've gotten to work with and learn from, you are in my hall of fame of how to live out a love and a passion for strong communities, strong families, strong environments for all people. So you are my role models. I have to give a shout out to the Grande Dame of service, of community service, Dee Basili. She's a friend, but she's a mentor and someone that I look up to. So I'm so grateful to have had this chance to work with Dee. And I remind you that, I'm new to Aurora. And I think there are a lot of people like me who are new to Aurora. And just the opportunity to get to know Aurora through your eyes, get to know Aurora through your experiences, and then engage us, even though we bring different lived experiences, is really a beautiful thing. And so I appreciate that. And I think there are many more people like me who are new to Aurora and want to be invited in and allowed to participate. So muchas gracias, as we say en français, on dit merci beaucoup. Pero muchas gracias. And I've loved working with all of you, getting to know you and learning from you. So muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last resolution honoring Andrew Smith.
All right. A resolution adopted by the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District honoring Andrew Smith, April 28th, 2021. Whereas Andrew Smith has served with distinction and dedication on the library board for 6 eventful years. And whereas he has held the offices of both president and vice president of the board. And whereas he is both the last president of the City of Aurora Public Library Board of Directors and the first president of the Aurora Public Library District Board of Library Trustees. And whereas he has given generously of his time and talent to lead this board and this library through a global pandemic and historic economic recession and several national crises. And whereas that clear-headed and thoughtful leadership has allowed the library to emerge on a sound footing, ready to help the community begin the work of recovery. And whereas his genuine passion for the work and purpose of the library is a lasting gift to the people of Aurora. Therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Trustees expresses its sincere appreciation to Andrew for his steady leadership, his vision, and his unreserved faith in the value of the library in the community. Passed on this day of April 28th, 2021 by the unanimous vote of the Board of Library Trustees of the Aurora Public Library District.
Thank you. With that, I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution honoring Andrew Smith.
I move to.
Kelly
approve
making
the
that
resolution.
motion.
Thank you. Dee, I'll say that you seconded it. Thank you.
All right.
And
I thirded it,
thanks.
thirded.
Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes.
Andrew Smith.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Tom, thank you. Kim, thank you. Brenda, thank you. Michaela, thank you. John, thank you. Melinda, thank you. Dee, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Eva, thank you. Joe, thank you. Heather, thank you. This board leaves the library in a great position, and the future is bright. And as we come out of this dark time, we only have great things ahead of us. We have a strong budget in place. We have lots of plans for the future in terms of expansion and remodeling, and that's going to be excited to see because I'm staying in Aurora. I'm not going anywhere, and I think most of you guys are too. But I'm born and raised in Aurora, and I love the library. When growing up, I loved the bookmobile. I liked the smell of the library. I love every part of it. But I'll tell you, having an 11-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old, it just reinvigorates me to go back. I got to do an appointment a couple of weeks ago, and my kids just got to run around and laugh at the library, and they read books, and we brought a bunch of them home. And that's what I love about the library, is teaching these kids how to read and to imagine and be creative. And I know the library does so much more than that, but that's what gets me, is I love to see the look on a kid's eyes when they see a book with words and pictures that they've never heard before. And it opens up their mind differently than TV and video games do. And when they go to bed at night, they think about that book and they ask questions about that book. And that's what excites me. And that work will continue. And Michaela, it's been a pleasure. You know, you and I were kind of new around the same time period. We came on, we've learned together. I learned a lot more from you than you did from me. And I thank you for that. And I appreciate our phone calls. I appreciate our emails, and you've done an amazing job, and you are a strong leader, and you will continue to lead the library. So thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, it's been a pleasure. And I thank everybody for all your efforts, and Joe and Melinda, we leave it in your capable hands, and you guys will do great. So thank you, guys.
I just want, Andrew had all these nice things to say about board members, but he didn't say anything about himself. So I will do the honors of just acknowledging, among other things, your leadership during this pandemic. It would have been an easy thing to hit the pause button on all of these things we wanted to do in light of this pandemic, the district conversion, our focus into EDI, bookmobile. But you kept this board focused, and we accomplished great things despite of that. And your leadership is certainly a big factor to that. I also think it's great to have an attorney around, just generally. So we are grateful for the expertise that you brought to this. And as vice president, I think you only missed one meeting, so I had only had to lead that one. So thank you for that. But kidding aside, Andrew, you've been a great president. Thank you for everything.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we need an executive session tonight to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, 5 ILCS 120/2C1, and discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under 5 ILCS 120/2C21. May I have a motion and a second?
So Joe, so moved.
Okay, making Dee Basili seconded.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes.
Andrew Smith.
Yes. All right. Motion carries, and we'll see everybody else in the separate Zoom. Thank you. All right. I believe we are recording and live. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn executive session?
So moved. This is Eva. Mhm.
I'll
Joe, I'll second.
This is Dee.
Thank you. Please call the roll, Melinda.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes.
Andrew Smith.
Yes. Motion carries. Next, may I have a motion and a second to return to open session?
Joe, so moved.
Second, this is Eva.
Thank you. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes.
Andrew Smith.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. We're now back in open session. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 24th, 2021 executive session?
So
Dee
moved. This is
Basili
Jeff.
making that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeff. Melinda, please call the roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage, John Savage,
Sorry about that. Yes.
no problem. Eva Serrano,
Yes.
Andrew Smith.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. And lastly, and my final time saying this, there being no further business before the board, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting at 7:15.
So moved. This is
Motion to
Jeff.
adjourn.
All right, did we get that? Kim, who did which?
Pick one.
I have Jeff Butler moving and John Savage second.
Perfect. All right, with that, Melinda, for me, please call the final roll.
Dee Basili,
Yes.
Jeff Butler,
Yes.
Joe Philippek,
Yes.
Melinda Riddick, yes, John Savage,
Yes.
Eva Serrano,
Yes.
Andrew Smith.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure serving alongside of you, and I hope to see all your wonderful, beautiful faces.
Yes,
All
you are.
right.
Guys, please do not go too far. If you stay in Aurora, you know your door.
Mm,
All right.
You guys
well, with
just have
that-
more time to work on your campaign next time an election comes around. Make your triumphant return.
That's
Right.
right. All
There
right.
you
with
go.
that-
Good looking. Yeah.
All right. The meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you.